May 2019. Graceland, Memphis, Tennessee. The basement archive room. Anita Smith walks down the stairs. She's worked here 17 years. Archivist, keeper of Elvis's belongings, cataloged items, letters, costumes, instruments. But today there's a box she's never seen. Simple cardboard, no label. Pushed against the back wall, covered in dust. Decades of dust. Anita opens it. Inside, 7 notebooks. Brown leather binding, worn, stained. She picks up the first one, opens to the first page. 3 words written in pen. Property of Elvis Presley. Date underneath. January 1974. Anita stops breathing. Nobody knew these existed. Not the family, not the Memphis Mafia, not historians. 7 notebooks, hundreds of pages, Elvis's private thoughts, written in his own hand, hidden for 45 years. She starts reading. The first entry stops her cold. What's written inside will change everything we thought we knew about Elvis Presley, about fame, about loneliness, about the price of being worshipped by millions. Here is the story. January 14, 1974. Graceland, 2:47 a.m. Elvis sits alone in his bedroom. Everyone else sleeps. The mansion, quiet. Too quiet. He picks up a pen, black ballpoint, opens a new notebook, brown leather. Blank pages. He writes, "I don't know why I'm starting this. Maybe because there's nobody I can talk to anymore. Nobody who understands. Nobody who sees me. The real me. Not Elvis Presley the entertainer. Just Elvis. The kid from Tupelo who wanted to sing. That kid is gone. I don't know when he left, but he's not here anymore." Elvis stops writing, looks at the words, considers tearing out the page. Doesn't. He continues. "Tonight I performed for 8,000 people. They screamed my name. They cried. They reached for me. But I've never felt more alone in my life. How is that possible? How can you be surrounded by thousands and feel like you're the only person in the universe?" The pen moves across the page. Faster now, words pouring out. Nobody warned me about this part. Nobody said fame would feel like a prison. They said it would be freedom. They lied. Or maybe they didn't know. Maybe nobody knows until they're inside it. Until they can't get out. Elvis closes the notebook. Hides it in his nightstand drawer. Behind the pills. Behind the books. Where nobody looks. This becomes his ritual. Writing in the dark. When everyone sleeps. When the mask can come off. Quick thought. Have you ever felt completely alone in a crowded room? Drop a comment. Anita Smith sits at the archive table, the 7 notebooks spread before her. Chronological order, 1974 through 1977, the last entry dated August 15th, 1977, one day before Elvis died. She's read them all now, every page, every word, 347 entries total. Some are short, a few sentences, others go on for pages. All of them reveal the same truth. Elvis Presley was drowning. In fame. In isolation. In the impossible distance between who he was and who the world needed him to be. Anita picks up the second notebook. Opens to a marked page. March 1974. The entry reads different from the first. Angrier, more desperate. March 22nd, 1974. Las Vegas Hilton. Suite 3000. 4:16 a.m. Elvis writes after another show. Another standing ovation. Another night of strangers screaming his name. They don't want me. They want Elvis. There's a difference. Me is tired. Me is sad. Me wants to go home and eat a sandwich and watch TV. But Elvis has to be superhuman. Elvis has to be perfect. Elvis can't be tired or sad or ordinary. So I give them Elvis. And me disappears a little more every day. The handwriting changes here. Shakier. Like his hand was trembling. I tried to tell Red today. Tried to explain how it feels. He looked at me like I was crazy. "Boss, you got everything," he said. "Millions of dollars. Fans who love you. You're Elvis Presley." That's exactly the problem. I'm Elvis Presley. I'm not allowed to be anything else. Elvis underlines the next sentence 3 times. Sometimes I wish I'd stayed a truck driver. Anita turns the page. The next entry is worse. April 8, 1974, Graceland, Lisa Marie's birthday party. Dozens of people in the house. Family, friends, staff, celebration. Elvis writes late that night. I stood in a room with 50 people today. My daughter's birthday. I should have been happy. I wasn't. I felt like a ghost, like I was watching the party through glass. They were all laughing and talking, and I was somewhere else, somewhere cold, somewhere far away. The writing gets smaller here, tighter, like he was pressing harder. Lisa Marie asked me if I was okay. She's 6 years old, and she can see I'm not okay, but the adults can't, or they don't want to. It's easier to pretend Elvis is fine. Elvis is always fine. Elvis is invincible. He draws a line across the page, then writes one more sentence. I'm not invincible. I'm barely holding on. Anita closes the notebook, sits back, stares at the ceiling. She's worked with Elvis's belongings for 17 years, studied his life, his career, his legacy. But this is different. This is his voice, unfiltered, unperformed, the real Elvis, the one nobody saw. She picks up the third notebook. 1975. The entries are longer now, more philosophical, like Elvis was trying to understand what was happening to him. February 19th, 1975. Palm Springs, Elvis's house in the desert, 3:30 a.m. He writes about fame, not the glamour, the mechanics. Fame is a transaction. You give up your humanity. You get worshipped in return. Sounds like a good deal until you realize you need your humanity to survive. You need to be seen, not as an icon, as a person. But once you're famous, nobody sees you anymore. They see the idea of you, the myth, the legend, and the real you suffocates under it. Elvis stops, reads what he wrote, continues. I thought fame would make me matter. It did the opposite. It erased me. Replaced me with someone else, someone who looks like me and sounds like me but isn't me. That person lives on stage and in magazines and in people's dreams. Real me lives nowhere. Real me doesn't exist anymore. The next paragraph is underlined. You can't be lonely and famous at the same time, they say. You're surrounded by people. You're loved by millions. How can you be lonely? But that's exactly when you're loneliest. When you're surrounded by people who love a version of you that isn't real. When you're loved for a lie. Anita reads this 3 times. Each time hits harder. She thinks about the public Elvis, the jumpsuits, the karate moves, the charisma. That Elvis was confident, powerful, untouchable. This Elvis is breaking. She continues reading. June 1975. The entries change again, less philosophical, more practical. Elvis writing about specific moments, specific betrayals. June 14, 1975, Graceland. Elvis reads a tabloid article. Elvis Presley getting fat and lazy. Photos of him looking tired, unflattering angles. He writes that night. They built me up so they could tear me down. I understand that now. Fame gives, fame takes away. Right now it's taking. Every photo, every article, every whispered conversation, they're all asking the same question. What happened to Elvis? When did he fall apart? The handwriting gets messier. I'll tell you what happened. I got tired. Tired of performing. Tired of pretending. Tired of being superhuman. I'm 40 years old. I'm allowed to be tired, but Elvis Presley isn't allowed to be tired. Elvis Presley is supposed to be eternal, perfect, forever young. So when I show any sign of being human, they panic. Or worse, they mock. He writes 3 words, capital letters. I am human. Then underneath. But they don't want human. They want Elvis, and I don't know how to be him anymore. Anita flips ahead. 1976. The entries are shorter now, darker. Elvis writing less frequently. But when he does, it's raw. March 1976, Las Vegas. Another residency, show after show after show. Elvis writes after a particularly difficult performance. I forgot the lyrics tonight, 3 times. I saw the confusion in the audience, saw them whispering, saw them disappointed. Elvis doesn't forget lyrics. Elvis is perfect, but I forgot, because I'm exhausted, because I don't want to be here, because I'm falling apart and nobody will let me stop. 2 sentences later. I wanted to walk off stage, just leave, disappear, start over somewhere else as someone else. But where would I go? Who would I be? I'm Elvis Presley. That's all I know how to be, and it's killing me. Anita pauses here. Gets up, walks around the archive room. She's reading a man's private breakdown, documented night after night, year after year, hidden from everyone. She sits back down, picks up the 6th notebook, 1977, the final year. The entries are sparse now, weeks between them, sometimes months, but they're devastating. January 1977, Graceland. Elvis writes on New Year's Day. New Year, same prison. I made resolutions. Get healthy, get focused, get back to who I was. But who was I? I don't remember anymore. That kid from Tupelo feels like a dream, like someone I made up. Was he ever real? February 1977. No entry. March 1977. No entry. April 1977. 1 sentence. I'm disappearing. May 1977. Vegas again. Elvis writes after canceling 2 shows, too sick to perform, the press calling it unprofessional. They're angry I canceled. They paid for Elvis Presley. They want their money's worth. But Elvis Presley isn't available right now. Just Elvis, and Elvis is barely functional. Elvis is drowning. Elvis is crying for help. But nobody hears him because they're too busy demanding Elvis Presley. June 1977, no entry. July 1977, no entry. August 15th, 1977, the final entry. Anita holds this notebook carefully. The last words Elvis wrote, hours before he died. She reads, August 15th, 1977, Graceland, 11:52 p.m. Elvis's handwriting is barely legible now. Shaky. Weak. He writes, I'm tired, so tired. I've been tired for years, but tonight it's different. Tonight I feel like I could sleep forever. Maybe that would be better. Maybe that's the only way out. The only escape from this. Pause. I keep thinking about Tupelo, about Mama, about sitting on the porch and singing with nothing but a guitar. No pressure, no expectations, no Elvis Presley, just music, just joy. When did it stop being joyful? When did it become a burden? The next lines are smudged, like tears fell on the page. If I could go back, I would tell that kid on the porch to stop, to put down the guitar, to live a normal life, to be invisible. Because invisibility is freedom, and fame is the opposite. Fame is a cage that looks like a palace. And once you're inside, you can never leave. 3 more sentences. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know if I ever did. Maybe Elvis Presley was always a performance, and the real me never existed at all. The final line. I just want to rest. Anita closes the notebook, sets it down gently. Elvis died 16 hours later, August 16th, 1977. 3:30 p.m., bathroom at Graceland. The world called it a heart attack. Doctors blamed drugs. Fans blamed the lifestyle. But Anita knows the truth now. Elvis died of loneliness. The fame that made him a legend crushed him. The love that millions felt for him never reached him. The icon survived. The man didn't. She sits with the notebooks for hours, reading passages again, trying to understand. One entry keeps coming back to her. November 1975. Elvis wrote it after a particularly isolated week. Fame promised me everything. It delivered. Money, status, immortality. But it took the only thing that mattered. Connection. Real connection. The kind where someone sees you. Not your image. Not your legend. You. And without that, everything else is worthless. Anita finally understands why these notebooks were hidden. Elvis couldn't share them while alive. It would destroy the myth, shatter the image, expose the pain behind the smile. He was trapped between truth and performance, between Elvis and Elvis Presley, and the performance won. It always wins. May 2019. Anita Smith faces a decision. The notebooks are in her hands. 7 volumes of Elvis's private suffering, his real thoughts, his hidden self. The family doesn't know they exist. The public doesn't know. Nobody knows except her. She could publish them. Show the world the real Elvis, the lonely one, the broken one, the human one. Or she could hide them again. Protect the legend. Preserve the myth. Keep Elvis Presley perfect. Anita thinks about the final entry. I just want to rest. She makes her choice. The notebooks go into a climate-controlled vault, sealed, locked, access restricted to family only. But she writes a letter to Priscilla Presley, to Lisa Marie, explaining what she found, what Elvis felt, what he needed them to know. She doesn't suggest publication. She suggests understanding. The letter ends with a quote from one of the notebooks. Someday maybe people will understand that fame isn't a blessing. It's a test, and I failed. Not because I wasn't strong enough, but because nobody is strong enough. The human soul wasn't built to be worshipped, it was built to be known. June 2019, Lisa Marie Presley reads the notebooks. All 7, every entry. She cries through most of them. Afterward, she speaks publicly for the first time about her father's loneliness. Not the drugs, not the decline, the loneliness. She says, my father was the most famous person in the world, but he was also the most alone. Fame gave him everything except what he needed most. To be seen, not as Elvis Presley, as Elvis, just Elvis. And that's the tragedy. He spent his whole life being worshipped, but he never felt truly known. The notebooks remain private. The family decides together. Some truths are too painful for the world, some realities too complex, but they change how Lisa Marie talks about her father, how she protects his legacy, not as the untouchable icon, but as the vulnerable man, the one who suffered behind the smile, the one who wrote in the dark, the one who needed connection more than applause. December 2023. Anita Smith retires from Graceland. 41 years of service, 41 years of protecting Elvis's belongings, his memory, his truth. On her last day, she returns to the vault, looks at the 7 notebooks, thinks about the choice she made. She doesn't regret it. Elvis wanted to rest. The notebooks let him rest. They confirmed what he felt but couldn't say. That fame is a beautiful lie. That isolation can happen in crowds. That being loved by millions doesn't mean being understood by one. The notebooks sit in darkness, where Elvis wrote them, in quiet, in solitude. Maybe that's where they belong. January 2024. A researcher contacts Graceland, requesting access to unpublished Elvis materials. Writing a book about loneliness and fame, the request mentions 7 notebooks, rumors of a secret diary. Graceland denies the request, states that no such notebooks exist. The researcher drops the inquiry. The secret holds. But the truth remains. Elvis Presley was the loneliest man in the world, and he documented it, page by page, night by night, year by year, until the words ran out, until the silence won, until there was nothing left but rest. Think about this for a moment. What's the point of fame if it costs you yourself? What's the value of being known by millions if you're unknown to everyone? Elvis asked these questions in the dark, alone, writing to nobody, or maybe to everybody, to future readers who might understand, who might see the price he paid, who might learn from his loneliness. The notebooks are hidden, but the message isn't. Fame doesn't fill the void. Success doesn't heal isolation. Love from strangers doesn't replace connection. Elvis learned this too late, wrote about it too privately, died before anyone could save him from it. But the words remain, in 7 brown notebooks, in a vault in Memphis, waiting for the day when maybe, just maybe, the world is ready to hear them, not as scandal, not as tragedy, but as truth. The truth that Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, the most famous man on earth, felt invisible, and that invisibility, that profound, unseen loneliness, killed him long before his heart stopped. The notebooks prove it, his words prove it, the silence after proves it, and unfortunately, they don't make men like Elvis Presley anymore.